Thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica podcast. I am Mustafa Sharif, an urban planner, and you're more than welcome to join my big journey of exploring the making of smarter and more livable cities. Please don't forget to follow Urbanistica on the different social media platforms, and also let's connect on LinkedIn. Big thanks to Urbanistica podcast partner AFRY. AFRY is an international engineering and design company providing sustainable solutions in the fields of energy, industry, and infrastructure. Are you ready for a new episode? Let's go for it. We have a new episode, we have a new story from H22, the making of smarter city. It's a big pleasure for me to welcome a new storyteller to the podcast. I have the pleasure to welcome you, Niklas, to Urbanistica podcast. Hey, and welcome.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
Very good, thanks. Very good.
How was your summer?
Oh, it was
vacation?
very pleasant. I actually decided to have 7 weeks of full vacation.
7 weeks. Too many, no?
Yeah, but, well, we know that we knew already from the beginning of the summer that we're going to have a hectic fall here. So that's why I decided to just take the vacation when I could and when the weather was nice. So yeah, it was very good.
That's good. So you're fully charged.
Definitely. Yes, absolutely. I'm pumped up. Yeah.
That's awesome. But did you had the chance to travel abroad, or you stayed in Sweden?
I traveled, and as soon as I had gotten our both vaccine shots, we went to Mallorca in Spain for 1 week. And then in the end of our vacation, we went to Crete in the Greek islands for 1 week also.
That's amazing. And now back to the city.
And now back to the city, exactly, yes.
So, Niklas, you are our storyteller for this episode. How would you like to introduce yourself? And please tell us about your passion.
Well, my name is Niklas Madsen, born and raised out of 2 Danish parents in Sweden. I'm Danish and Swedish, 1 foot in each country. I have a huge passion for innovation, research, science, music, skateboarding, snowboarding, action sports, adrenaline sports. Yeah, and that's me basically.
That's a good combination of passion. It's a good recipe.
Yeah,
a lot of adrenaline.
It's a broad perspective of things, at least. Yeah.
May I ask you, like your passion to innovation and science, when did it start?
Well, when I think back to my childhood, I think it started very early, very early on. I remember from being 5 to 6 years. I was born actually up north in Sweden in Borlänge, where there's a lot of winters, a lot of snow, and I remember sitting in the snow at 4 or 5 years old, playing in the snow, creating snow sled things where I could drop my Hot Wheel cars. So construction of things and how to bend wood and just simple things when you're playing with as a kid started very early on interest me. So and then as you grew up, it's it grows more and more into more advanced stuff, of course.
Exactly. And now you're part of SuperLab. Would you like to share with us like the background of the SuperLab and also what's the aim of it?
Yeah. So SuperLab was conducted about 7 years ago. And prior to that, I had been running my own industrial design company for 10 years. And when I had that company, when I was doing my one-man band thing, I got very interested of doing product design for furniture, for interior design projects. And I took the process of industrial design product development processes, and I brought that into when I was doing an interior design project. And I realized the moment when you have a deep analysis of things, when you have raw data and you have research behind your thesis and ideas, it's very difficult for a client to say no. And the power of having something to lean on why things should look at a certain way got very, very intrigued. I got very intrigued about it. So when I had been doing my business for 10 years, I realized that, combination of, I was doing an experiment with a psychology student. I was doing interesting experiments with a computer nerd, and different things happened. And suddenly one day I just realized, creating this company, SuperLab, where research and data and science is behind of everything of why, would be very interesting. And that's how, I started SuperLab 7 years ago.
That's amazing. So you scale it up from one man band to like a group, to a lab, basically.
Exactly, to a more of having different expertise of people coming in. So today we have one architect, there are interior design architect. We have one product developer, furniture, wood maker, furniture designer, and one interior conceptual strategist person, and then me as whatever I am doing now, more of a I'm more of a traditional CEO, but and design manager. But the idea of having a company, we have different expertise within it, is very, very interesting, and a very interesting approaches happen to each project because everyone has their own perspective of things.
But tell me, Niklas, like, where is the boundary between data and numbers and the comfortability, colors, design, creativity? Like, do I feel comfortable when I base my design, when you base your design only on numbers? Or do you understand what I...
Yeah, absolutely. And that is more of the interesting thing, that we see ourselves as a modern laboratory where we experiment with data and research and science and knowledge, and try to implement that into physical, tangible, products that are ready for the future. So, for instance, if we're designing a chair, there are tons of chairs out there.
True.
We don't need another chair.
No.
The chair needs to have somewhat of a new feature, new aspect, something that can innovate and make it into a chair that's actually needed for now. And everything becomes more and more complex of how we produce, how we manufacture, how we recycle, how we reuse. New aspects happen constantly and are changing around us. And especially now, a post-corona situation where everybody is going back to their old office with new habits. So everything will change. So by bringing in the science and data and knowledge of things, when you're creating new, whatever it is, we think definitely that is the future. That is something that you definitely have to work around.
Yeah. So you believe that the million chairs that we have is not really suitable for our behavior and our time now, today?
Absolutely. I would say this. There's a lot of furniture pieces that are definitely timeless.
Yeah.
But there's tons of furniture that are total crap, that are useless, that are pointless, that are just made for making money, that are not made for being sustainable, they're not made for growing with evolution, what's happening around us. So I think that, yeah, you need to design more chairs, but they need to be more thoroughly made with a deeper knowledge of what's happening in the future.
Do you believe that now we're talking about the chairs, like the product that you design are timeless or only fits to our life today?
Well, we try to make things timeless, and that is the biggest challenge of doing product design, to have a a non-existing expiration date on things. That is everyone's goal, I think. I hope that are working with product development or design or any architecture, whatever it could be. But that is also something that is the most difficult thing to hit the right material, the shape, whatever that will be suitable. But I think just to have the aim for it constantly in each project is something that is really, really good enough. To not just make something, this is a McDonald's toy that that your kid will use it a minimum short of time for hours probably, and then you will throw it away and it will just be an annoying thing at your house. So I think that there's good design and there's bad design.
Yes, of course. And now what I see, like you're talking about the future and timeless, you're partnering up with H22. So why are you choosing to do that?
Well, the minute I heard something about this City Expo in H22 in our hometown Helsingborg, we contacted Soraya, the project, when it was actually this. She changed her title in LinkedIn. And I contacted her. I think we were one of the first ones to contact her 3 years ago or something.
I love LinkedIn, yeah.
Where I just said, I don't know what it is, but we want to be a part of it. And I think that's also, I mean, we look into we look into a lot of interesting projects, especially when they're happening here in our hometown. Can we be involved in developing our own city, that we love? I'm in. Any minute I'm in on it, definitely.
So for you, it's about developing your hometown or home city.
It's about developing our own hometown, and if the opportunity is there, and the city politicians and the mayor and everyone is behind a crazy idea as H22 has become, I'm definitely in. It's something where there's opportunities to be a part of something that is very big and interesting and can be like something that people will look back to and say, wow, there's something that's before H22 and then there's after H22, and it's a big shifting point.
Yeah, so it's making history.
Definitely. I think this will make history, even though that we don't see it right now, but in the future we will look back at, as the H55 Expo did. It was a certain standpoint when it comes to Scandinavian design, especially when you look back at it right now. So I think this expo will be in the same caliber.
That's amazing. And I think so too. Niklas, can you share with us what are the projects that you're working on, like in connection to H22 Expo?
Absolutely. So for about 4 years ago, we wrote a book called The Playful Office. And during the process of writing that book, one of the theses we came up with was that our office buildings or office environments we're working in at that point, prior to Corona, they're not healthy for us. There are a lot of research proving that lighting is bad for us, ventilation and the air quality is bad, even if it's a new building, and so on and so on. So the thesis was, why are we not working outside?
Outside.
So the concept basically came upon us that why isn't there any urban offices? Why isn't there any furnitures that are made for working outside? A work desk and a work lounge and tables for meetings and so on. Because there's a lot of research showing that health benefits of us being outside in nature, getting fresh air. The human body is made for being around the sun, chemical rhythms and everything. So we started this project of creating furnitures for office furniture for outdoor environments. So our idea was that for H22 is to create the whole city of Helsingborg to create that into an urban office environment. And right now, as we speak, we have actually prototypes of our first office desk in Fredriksdal here in Helsingborg, where people can apply and go there and try them out, to try out how is it to actually work outside. And it's a middle of nature, so you're standing there working, and it's a mind-blowing experience to be there and trying it out actually.
I can imagine. Can you explain to our listeners how does it look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big things for us when we were designing these furniture pieces was that we needed to have the science and the knowledge behind it. So
it's SuperLab.
Exactly. So what we did was we Googled around a little bit, and we got very excited. We found a woman that was working with the exact same of ideas from Malmö University. So we contacted Charlotta Petersson Troje, that had been doing a long research, and she was in the middle of a huge research of finding out what happens with us when we are working outside. Do we take in knowledge better, or what's happening around it? So we collaborated with her and got all her data around her research to basically develop these office pieces. So they look, one of the big things was that they need to look like an office desk. The traditional office desk where you have more like a modern one, where you have side absorbent around your desk, more or less. But we realized that from talking to her and doing a lot of interviews, that the perception of what work is something that needs to be in a visual aspect in the furniture pieces. So for them to look like an office desk was very, very important. And of course, they are 120 centimeters wide. There's one where you can sit down in a chair to work, very normal height. And then there's a standing desk also for standing up, for ergonomical choices, if you want to stand up and work or to sit down. And as we're doing right now for the prototypes, and as the funny thing is that as we have been looking around in the internet for 3 years now, when we've been doing this project, we realized when we launched the products in February this year, it's the world's first office desk for outdoor use.
Oh, wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job.
Yeah. So so basically our project is to try to combine other spots around the city that could be suitable for working, to find a park bench where you have good city Wi-Fi. And we're collaborating with an app that's named Avayo, where you basically can find urban office spots in your city. So we have different projects going on to try to create Helsingborg city into an urban office environment, to a huge co-sharing space.
I love it. Let's talk more about the details, but because I imagine this needs infrastructure when it comes to electricity, I don't know, other type of needed things. How do you solve this challenges?
So yeah, we have done a lot of research around this. Of course, if you're around an office desk that's in the middle of your city environment, there's different things that you would need if you were going to stay there for a longer period of time. And of course, power, internet is two sources that you definitely need. And then because we're in the south of Sweden and we have bad weather most of the time, where it's rain, wind, and other things, you need somewhat of sunshade. You need probably rain, weather shades. So those are the aspects we're looking into right now. How can we integrate this into the furniture pieces so it will look nice and be suitable for the city environment and everything? So yeah, we have been looking into all the aspects and what's needed, and that's why we're why we're prototyping, testing them right now here in Frederiksdal, so people can go up there. And we have a small survey you can do after you have been working there. You can scan a QR code and fill in some information. So we are still gathering information and data, what people want and need around them. So
you're experimenting.
Now we're experimenting and for trying to figure out new details and new products and add-ons, that so the product will be as good as possible for next summer for the H22 EXPO.
That's awesome. Niklas, do you imagine that you will not end up with a box? What do you see if you look into the future?
Yeah, well, in the sense of, what do you mean?
Like the design of the furniture, because now you're talking about weather protection, electricity, Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So all these needed like to be part of the design. In the end, like maybe it's gonna end up with like a box.
Absolutely not. I think that the whole idea of standing outside in nature, where you have the full height up to the sky.
Exactly.
That is the whole experience. That is because a lot of things, it's the perception of what work is that you need to change. And the pandemic, the corona pandemic we have experienced, everyone has experienced right now, has changed our perception of what work is for us. And now is the time for companies to actually try out and open up and let your employees to try to work from different places. What is the benefit of your staff working in the middle of a park in a city? What can happen? What can be the new ideas or new businesses of whatever it can be? What can they bring back to the company? And so I think the timing, and the interesting thing is that we did this before Corona.
Yeah, this is the very cool thing.
But the pandemic really just took off. So now it's a huge interest for working on different remote working in general, and wherever it is, we need to try to create new spaces for it.
Yeah, so you basically are introducing not only the furniture, but like the whole way of rethinking the workplaces.
Exactly, yeah. And that is also what we've been working on for the past 10 years in general, and with SuperLab, is that to rethink work constantly, try to push the boundaries of what work is for people, and trying to design work environments that are suitable for a certain type of work. So yeah, we do a lot of research when it comes to this, and see possibilities, just like the Urban Office collection of furniture pieces.
Yeah, and now like I'm reflecting as an urban planner, I guess you also see our cities like too busy with different objects, and now like we have the electrical bikes, we need to fix like a parking for them, and you introducing a new infrastructure to our city, like the outdoor offices. Do you have a specific places to place them? Do you have a criteria where should they be placed, or no?
Well, see, it's very interesting you bring this up, because we talk a lot to a lot of city planners and architects and urban planners about this, because the way we plan our cities in the future needs to change dramatically, just by the electrical scooters you're bringing up. I mean, micro trips of different transportation vehicles. We need to plan our cities, for the future. What might be the next, transport of device we're going to be in. So I think the way we plan cities in the future need to rethink itself and develop itself by thinking, where is work actually being conducted? Is work in an office space, or can work be conducted in a bus stop? Because again, the definition of what work is for me and for what I'm doing has become more of the transition of being activity-based working, where you change your whole office into different zones depending on what work you're doing. Now it's going out in our city environments. our homes has become an office space for the past 2 years almost. So office and work is something that is being conducted everywhere. And that is, challenging city planners definitely, because I think we need to rethink where should we place office furniture for outdoor use? Well, where it's needed.
Okay, so you don't have a specific place. Like, let's say, no, it should be in the park under a tree or next to the, I don't know, water
Well, I mean,
fontaine.
we're experimenting with all different types of things. And I think it depends on what work you're doing. Because sometimes you want to be in nature to work. And there's introverted persons that they want to be alone when they're doing their work. And then you have people that want to be in a city where there's active and people coming around and they need to get influences. So I think a work desk for outdoor use could be placed in the park, but it could also be placed in the middle of a
public square.
Yeah, public square somewhere.
Yeah. Or as you mentioned, like in a bus station.
Yeah, where it's needed actually. And I think
where it's needed, yeah.
Well, right now we're talking to a lot of real estate company and real estate developers, and they see, of course, the opportunity of placing them in housing environments where basically people live. That suddenly right now we have had the pandemic. Everyone has been sitting inside, and a lot of people have not been able to manage to do their work properly because they probably living in a small apartment. Imagine if you could provide an outdoor office in furniture just outside next to the children's park, the playground. So your children will be playing in the playground and you can actually be there working, because that's what you're doing next to your child. Even anyways, you're on your phone, looking at something, checking emails on Instagram, whatever it is. Why not just being there, showing also that I'm actually working right now, but I'm still here having contact with my kid. It's a problem that we have in society. So why not, doing it full on?
What do you think about also the what do you call it? The mini co-working spaces, like not the large one in the city center. Do you think they will be the co-working space in the future?
Absolutely. I mean, co-sharing is the biggest trend that's happening right now, where companies are opening up their own headquarters and creating them into an open space for their clients, partners, and even letting, other people from, just the street to come in. So I think the concept of a co-working space, the definition of that will change automatically with new ways of working. And I think a co-working space could have a satellite setup in a park with a bunch of outdoor furnitures, and you can book them on their platform basically. So I think it's going to be an extended arm for a lot of co-working spaces where they can buy the products and they can provide it for their community. So I think it will be a natural development of co-working, basically.
And as you know, as the listeners know, big ideas takes time to be implemented, and also big challenges you're gonna face during the journey because you're creating something new. So what are the challenges that you're facing now in order to make this happen?
Well, I think that we had a bigger challenge before Corona. I mean, before Corona, we saw that every time we showed the products, for companies at least, they were like, well, we want to, our employees to have their own work desk, and we want them to be there. And they had different perspective of work is. Now, I see it as, thanks to Corona, if you could say that. But I think that now we have a wind in our sail that people are urging to actually have new environments of working. They're tired of being at a cafe. They're tired of being in their apartment. I think that our challenges is to, get urban planners and architects to understand that this is a new way of looking at and planning, whatever projects they're working with. This is a new tool of, and how you're going to work with this tool to create something that are good for the environment or the city or whatever it could be. I think that is a challenge. And then of course the infrastructure is another challenge. There are a lot of cities that don't have city Wi-Fi. So there are a lot of course there's a lot of challenges when, as you said, when you want to rethink or re-involve something, but I think we have a lot of positive wind in our sails, so this could be a great phenomenon. That, and then it would be something that would be very cool that it comes out of Helsingborg in Sweden.
Yeah. Niklas, do you think that you're alone in this and like nobody believing in the idea?
Absolutely not. And I know from just us posting the products in February, and before that we got contacted by a Dutch community that's called the Outdoor Office Day. And that's the 27th of May that they have set up, and they have big maps of Amsterdam where there's good spots where you can work. So there's a lot of people in the same philosophy, basically. So by just us posting the things on LinkedIn, on social media, we get a lot of responses from architects in Spain, in Argentina, and from different countries all over that are just, oh my God, what a great idea. This is, when can you bring this to our country, So we know that this is something that a lot of people are interested in.
So tell our listeners that are going to visit Helsingborg next summer, what will they see?
Well, hopefully they will, if they go in and follow us on social media, they can see where they can go, where they can book an office space, where they can book different meeting rooms. We have another project actually that we're doing with Turens, that we are creating actual rooms that are mobile, that are going to be placed around in the city, that you can book to actually host a presentation for something, your meeting. If you need a separate space, that can be placed anywhere in the city also. So we have the whole urban office philosophy is something that we will push, and hopefully you can feel it also around in the city, during the expo and after, of course.
That's amazing. I'm looking actually forward to be there and to try it and to experience it.
You're more than welcome to come, of course.
Thank you. Thank you. Will you be there in Helsingborg during the expo? Yes,
we will definitely be here during the expo, and we have a lot of other interesting things that we might set up actually. So if you follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn, you can see all the interesting stuff that we will be hosting during the expo.
That's amazing. So what's the plan after the expo?
New evolution, new revolution. We're going to look into another things, of course, but well, the expo is the starting point, I hope. I hope this is the test bed where we can try out things, and our goal is, of course, to get a lot of other cities and other mayors and politicians to understand that this is something that's interesting, that we can bring to other countries, of course, and other cities. And I really hope that the expo will be a starting point of something that's huge.
So for you, the expo H22 in Helsingborg is the kickoff to scale it up to the world.
Definitely, absolutely, yeah. That's our goal, at least.
That's awesome. And now you mentioned like scaling it up and talking again about the future cities. So when you imagine the city of the future, what do you picture as the most exciting change?
Well, definitely, I think there's a combination of a very high-tech city with a very deep contact to nature. I think that is a future city for me, because I think that the digital layer that we have surrounded around us, it's going to be there, and it's something we want to be in contact with wherever we are. Even if we're in the middle of nature, my wife goes, "Hey Google," because she's so into it to ask Google of different things, just of what's the temperature or whatever. I think the habits that we have in the digital world, which is something that we want to have in a new smart city. With that said, I truly, truly believe a smart city has nothing to do with the digital layer.
Really?
I really think that a smart city has nothing to do with digital and digitalizing things. I think a smart city has to do with smart behaviors of human beings being in the city. I think that a smart city should, be an opportunity for human beings living there to, do, act, create, to be able to do the things that actually can create the city, because a city is the life in between the buildings for me. And if there's no life in between the buildings, it's a dead city. And then it's not a smart city. So a city that can create life in between the buildings and the environments around, I think it's going to be a smart city. So the digital layer is something that's just there, but it's not everything. It's definitely not everything.
Yeah, I got your point. And now you're introducing also, as I mentioned in the beginning, like a new infrastructure. Do you think this will make our cities more livable? Like the outdoor office?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a part of the evolution of a city. If a city can create, if a city can create something new of the people living there. For example, if I have my house and I have my daily routines, and suddenly the city provides something that creates a better life for me, a richer life for me. That is a smart city. That is something that I want to live in, and I would love to keep on living there. I don't need to move anywhere else. So a smart city is a city that can create those opportunities and just for people to have a greater life for a long period of time.
Yeah, very, very interesting reflection, Niklas. And I think this conversation is very valuable, like between urban planners, architects, interior designers, because in the end, it's about all of us, not only about urban planners.
Absolutely. I mean, everything is connected, and it's gonna get more connected. The more as every day goes on, we're gonna realize that more and more things are even more connected. It's not the silo thinking that we have had before, that you create an office building for your company and it's community gated and everything. You're gonna realize that you're missing out. So I think that the openness feeling of things is gonna create more connections and create a better way of living and a better work-life balance for everyone. But I think things are gonna get more connected, even though if we don't see it right now.
Exactly, me too. So again, a big thanks for sharing all the interesting ideas and experiments that you're doing. And now we are in the final section of this episode, which will be more about you, because it's very important for me in the podcast to highlight the people behind the business as well. So let's start with the first question. If you will choose to be an animal, which animal will you choose to be and why?
Oh my God. I think I would be colorful, annoying parrot.
Why?
Because that's a lot of my personality, I think.
Annoying?
Annoying. Well, yeah, a little bit bitchy, a little bit annoying, asking questions where people don't want to hear them, or
Yeah.
pushing boundaries. It could be in a lot of levels, of course. But yeah, I think a colorful parrot. I think that's me. Yeah.
it's important that you mentioned the colorful as well, not.
Yeah, because I think colors is life, and I love life in general, and I think it colors brings life to things, So yeah.
That's true. And what motivates you to do what you do?
I think it's a combination of perceiving goals that I set up for myself in my own mind, managing to push boundaries to actually prove, my surrounding of people and the environment that things are possible if you just put your head into it. And then bring new life to things that no one expected. That is very, very intriguing for me. That brings me up in the morning.
That's amazing. And I want also to hear your reflections. I get sometimes comments from the listeners that they say, when you interview the CEOs, they talk a lot about leadership, you can change the world and so on, maybe because they are in a very high position. But what do you think? Can the other people do that as well?
Of course. I mean, just because I have the title of being the CEO of this company doesn't mean that I'm not, fixing the toilet if it's plunged, or plugged, I mean, I think I am everyone. I am, just a single guy that grew up in the suburb of Helsingborg in a concrete ghetto that just had ideas. I didn't fall into the CEO position. I grew into it. So, everyone, it's just, bring on whatever you have of interest and do it and perceive, and don't wait for anybody. That's my perception of things.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you're a child or a student or a new employee.
No, not at all. Absolutely not. I mean, if you have dreams, if you have ideas, and if you see possibilities in things, go for it. That's what I've done in my whole life. It's and a lot of times you do stupid mistakes and you fail big time. But that is also, how you learn how to ride a bike. It's of the 100 times of falling, that's how you learn to do things. So I think I only get better of just throwing me things into different ideas and projects and companies and whatever it is. You only get better of doing it. So I think it's, don't take no for an answer. Just go.
Yeah, exactly. Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. It sounds like a Nike commercial, but yeah, just go. Yeah.
No, because I also believe that the idea worth nothing if you don't work on it. If it's just there on a paper and that's it.
I mean, I meet a lot of people coming up to me saying that, oh, I have all these great ideas. What I'm actually hearing is that a lot of people come and say, oh, I have the winning lottery, but I haven't filled it in yet. It's like, it's not a good idea until you have done it and, proof of concept. So, a lot of people run around and have good ideas, but it's a good idea when you have proven that it's a good idea. So you need to stick your fingers, in the dirt and actually do the work. And that's why I say, they don't take no for an answer. Just go and just do it.
Exactly. That's really, really inspiring. And Niklas, do you have time to do your hobbies?
Well,
you're laughing.
Yeah. Well, time. How much more time do we have to talk about time? Yeah. Well, I mean, my hobbies is to, innovate. That's one of my big hobbies. Another hobby is, of course, to just, hang around with my family and, have a good time and travel. Traveling is a huge, huge hobby to do that with my family because I get a lot of inspiration of traveling. And then I DJ a lot. Music is a huge inspiration for me also. I've been DJing for 20 years or something, and that's something that I don't do out professionally anymore, but I do it in, bedroom DJing and listening to music is a huge inspiration. And that's all those things is combined into what I do in my professional life. So my hobbies, I try to combine them into my life in general, you know. And so it's not that I have a certain time of doing my hobbies. It's just my hobbies is my life in general, you know.
That's amazing. But Niklas, how about like you DJ the opening ceremony SuperLab H22?
Bring it on. I'll do it. Yeah.
That's amazing. So the last two questions, the first one's gonna be, you give me and the listeners 3 takeaway messages.
My first takeaway message would definitely be, if you have a crazy idea, even though if you, you know, are doubting yourself, go for it anyways. Because you're gonna learn so much in the process that's gonna bring you to whatever goal you have in your life. It's the path of different things that are gonna bring you to whatever it is you're gonna do. My second message would be to don't wait on anybody. It's the biggest mistake I've ever done, is that I have this great idea, I'm gonna do it with so-and-so, and I'm just gonna wait on them when they're ready. Because then the timing is off, and your inspiration level, when that one is in its highest peak, that's when you need to do it, whatever it is. So don't wait on anybody. And then my last one would be, make sure that you're having fun in the same time. Because the minute your gut feeling is you're stressed, whatever it is, drop out, cut whatever cords you have attached to things and drop it right away. Because it's only gonna lead to stress, and the project's not gonna be good enough, and it's not gonna be in the level that you want it to be. To just, you know, the minute you stop having fun, cut it out of your life right away.
Wow. Thank you so much. Really, really inspiring. And the last one was so interesting. Like, stress leads to stress, fun leads to fun.
Yeah. Very simple, but hard to follow.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the last question is going to be you asking us, because I ask so many questions now. And now it's your time to ask me and the listeners a question, so we reflect about it and answer.
So my question would be, what happens when the digital world becomes an equal social and professional phenomenon in our life combined to the physical world? Because that's the way we're heading. If you look at all the trending topics that's going on around what's happening, what will our future life look like when the physical and digital will be equal to our lives, basically?
So interesting. Well, great question. Niklas, thank you so much for giving your valuable time to record this episode, and I'm very happy to talk to you, and we'll be more than happy to see you in Helsingborg during the H22 EXPO.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to seeing you in physical space.
Well, thank you so much for listening to Urbanistica podcast. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. You learned something new and also got inspired by the guest. Don't forget to share the episode on your social media and recommend it to people you think they are really interested in this topic. Thank you so much again for giving your valuable time to Urbanistica podcast. I am Mustafa Sharif. Keep up the good work. Keep loving cities.